Hello and welcome back to Sisterly Sparks. I am Orange Spark.
I am Purple Spark.
And I am Pink Spark.
Pink Spark.
Did you hear me? Oh, I said I'm Pink Spark. It's freezing.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, so tonight we may have a little technical difficulties. We do apologize, but we got to make it happen. We missed yesterday. Just bear with us.
Yes. So, on today's episode, we are talking about the part 4 for the self-love journey, and it is based on self-healing. So, before we dive into that, how is everybody doing?
Well, I'm fine. I'm cold, but I'm fine. And if y'all can't tell, I'm actually here with Orange Spark. Yes, we're in the same place right now at this time. But yeah, this week, mentally, mm, I was I would say okay because I can't think of anything else. So that just means it probably wasn't worth it, or I got through it. So yeah, I'm in a good spot at this moment.
That's good. Pink Spark, how you doing?
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Now.
Okay, it's frozen. It's been a long week and it's only Wednesday. But I'm okay.
I feel that.
There's a lot of things that's came or that has happened that's in the form of a test, but I feel like tests are needed, just to really reveal where you're at in life, mentally, spiritually, all that. But yeah, I think I'm just mentally drained. But other than that, I'm good.
You know what? Um, well, I do.
And we're back.
That was weird.
Very weird. Sorry, guys. We're having technical difficulties.
Do you think it's the internet?
Maybe.
Well, I think I'm using my phone mobile spot, and I gave my phone to my daughter, so I just got it back. So I feel like that should um that should solve it. I don't know if her distance from where we actually are was the problem, but it seems like right now it's okay. So, and my phone is right here with me, so we should be okay. But Pink Spark, you were saying you was having a trying week, but we all hope for better days, and as long as you're still level headed though, and you're still speaking and stuff, so we're gonna put some positivity on it. So
Most
hopefully
definitely.
everything gets better for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Well, Orange Spark is over the moon that Purple Spark is here. So I don't even know about the rest of the week. I'm content right now. I'm very
That
happy,
part.
very excited. Like yeah, cloud nine over here. So um, I'm doing good. Shoot. For real. Um, yeah. So in all of the parts, we've kind of dove into many different topics surrounding this self-love journey. We've done a lot of talk about self-value, unconditional love, self-reflection, and self-accountability. And today we're going to talk about self-healing. It's very important and a crucial step, I think, because you identify problems and you try to work through them, but there also needs to be space for you to be able to forgive yourself and to be gracious with yourself and allow room for that improvement. So today we're going to talk through kind of what that looks like for us individually, as well as what that could look like from different perspectives or different situations or whatever the case may be. So um first, what would you guys say self-healing is?
You want to go
As
pink or
Yeah, I would say self healing. That's a tough kind of question to really answer. But
Agreed.
I feel like it's just unlearning and relearning things in your life. Um, and really, I think it's just like learning to grow
Mhm.
from your past self, current situations, things like that. So that's why I would say like the healing journey kind of summed up is.
Yeah.
I think I second that. I think it is. I think it's also, yeah. I mean, and that also do include like reflection. And I feel like sometimes when we're in different positions in different spots in our lives at different times, and sometimes we could be down on ourselves, or we can ask questions, like especially if we're not in a position or a place where we feel like it's needed or wanted or deserved. We begin to ask those questions, or why me, or what's happening, or why is this all happening to me, or and then I think that's when you get into the self-reflection. You also um get into a discovery mode, to where you start learning different things, and mainly it is like Pink Spark said, it happens in the past. At least I feel like it starts in the past, because sometimes we just don't fix or heal anything. I feel like we just keep going and keep going and keep going. And just let stuff ride, let stuff be, leave things where they at, instead of tackling them, or instead of um um I don't know, instead of just trying to figure out the process you need to take, or the meaning of why something is happening, or you're in a particular place that you're in. We just we just move right along, because life moves along. So yes, long story short, I do feel the same way Pink Spark do. And but also I feel like we have to understand, and we have to accept that there's something that we need to heal from, though, for us to even initially start to even get on that journey. So we could talk a little bit more about that here in a minute.
Agreed. I think for me, I think the thing that comes into play for me is that it keeps reminding me of forgiveness. And not even necessarily for other people, because we all know forgiveness is for ourselves, but I feel like we can find ourselves forgiving other people and we don't forgive ourselves. So, being that this is a self journey, being able to be, patient with yourself and forgive yourself for your shortcomings, and allowing space for you to be better, and to let yourself know that it's okay, and that you're doing the hard work, you're looking at all angles, and you want to be better, and you're trying to be better. And just because you may have fallen short um before, that it doesn't mean that you're not worthy or that you're a bad person. And I think that's important to heal, and it will help with your confidence and your mindset and overall just feeling and thinking, if you allow yourself that space. Um, so I think that's important, and that's kind of what I think of with the self healing journey, because the saying, like, hurt people hurt people. So if you go through all of these issues and you identify them and you're trying to work at them, but if you're hitting them with the same um, actions, you're going to get the same results. So it's just important to allow yourself and to give yourself that space, and being able to heal from that. And then, let's say someone tries to use it as a skeleton in the closet kind of thing, and they try to, like, oh, well, you did this. Well, nope, that's not who I am anymore. And people will try to hold you there, and just you can have that self-confidence in knowing that yeah, that's not me anymore. That may have been true for the old me, but that's not me anymore. So I think that's important in continuing the self-love journey for the rest of your life, through any obstacle, is giving yourself that confidence, and just that space to be imperfect but still striving to be better.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what does a self healing journey look like?
I think it starts with acknowledgement, or um, acknowledgement that like maybe you haven't healed yet in certain areas, and then it
Mhm.
starts. It might look different for each person, but I think all of these do play a part eventually, no matter where you start at. So
Mhm.
acknowledging it, and then the willingness to act it out, whether you know what to do or not, but the willingness to either act it out or figure out what should I do or where should I start, like asking those inner questions of, okay, I don't like this feeling, I don't like this dynamic, like what can be done, whether it's just yourself, how you interact with other people, how you carry yourself from day to day, certain things like that. And then, action is always needed. So taking the actions or steps to do it. Um, it can start off with the list. It can start off with watching other people in their journey or being inspired by it. It could
Mhm.
be a number of things. Um, but it's definitely a process that doesn't, I guess, when you start it, I don't think it's something that's like ever truly completed, because things do come up that you might have to heal from, or you might have healed from it in a certain way, but now later down the road it hit something deeper. So it's definitely a process that isn't just going to be super easy, quick, like how they try to make it look like on social media.
Mhm.
Social media plays a major part in that, as if it's like this cookie cutter type process, but really it's so deep and it can cover so many different areas. um
Mhm.
but I wouldn't I wouldn't know how to say like just exactly like what the process is, but I can say like what it could incorporate. But I don't know if y'all have something to add to that.
Um, I don't know how to answer that per se, just in general. I could only speak as far as like my personal self-healing journey is or has been, or like yes, currently is. I could say for me it was a completely letting go and starting new for me. Um I just felt like at one point of my life I was just in a position where I was just speaking about earlier, where I'm the one who I was talking about, where I just felt like everything was happening. I felt like um I found myself involved with too many things, too many situations that I didn't at initially didn't feel like I deserved to be in or I should have been in. Um my surroundings and my circles, it wasn't circling, it wasn't right. And actually before I even initially knew that, I just kept asking, like, I just kept asking myself, what is going on? Like, I don't understand the before I even knew that, you are a product of your environment. You are, who you hang around, who you talk to, who you be with. Like, we pick up on things, even if we choose not to, even if we don't want to, but we do. And that was hard for me to actually accept, because I was always one who was steadfast on, no, Tanya do and move on her own drum to her, she does. And yes, we could be solid with saying that, we are who we are, and we won't, or won't go against what we feel like we should, or won't act a certain way, or won't be around certain people. But we don't know that initially. We could say it, but we also have to be aware that as we're saying that, at the same time, we actually still can be going through it, because a thing called energy, I mean, all of us human beings are really energy beings, and we don't do nothing but bounce energy off of each other, whether that be bad, whether that be good, whether that be like whatever it is, which is why it's important to watch who you hang around, why it's important who you have for like in your immediate circle, who you have for for talks and conversation wise, and all that, because it you can be um you could be affected like instantly, you could be affected negatively, um and before you know it, you can be just like the next person, and that may not even be somebody you may want to be like, but because you've been around them forever, and because you're in the vicinity, you're in the same circle, you're taking on um you're taking on some of those aspects. So it really took me a long time to discover that, and to learn that, and to understand. And I know I'm one who, I felt for a long time that I was a introvert. Like, I would never like to, be in crowds, or I never like to really talk a lot. I I was always shy and all that. But I come to find out at certain other times, however, I could be in the same crowds or whatever. But if certain people are there or around, then it just it makes me automatically open up, speak, talk, conversate, be more at peace. And I come to find out that we can be introvert and extroverts. I just feel like around the same ones that have the same energy or similar energy as me, or just someone who's in their um I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but someone who's walking right, I guess, or attempt of walking right and doing right and have, good intentions. I seem to just open up to and connect with. So and it took me a minute also to realize that, but also too, I'm one who likes to, I discover I do like talking. And now people have to shut me up. So I feel like for me to have to had just got away from everything and everybody, even though I know it was for the greater good, it was for my well-being, at the same time, it was hurtful and it was lonely and I was sad for a while. I was depressed for a little bit because I didn't understand why I had to leave the people I loved or I wanted to be around just for the sake of getting better. I didn't understand why I couldn't have both or everything. And it's only when you, like Pink Spark said, that acknowledgement, it's only when you acknowledge that, you know what an actual problem really is that you may have or situation, and you really sit with yourself and find out and discover what the actual problem is and what the solution looks like, that you dive into that, and that um knowing that you knowing that you want better for yourself and want to do better and want to do good and want to be like the full person that you should be, that you know you are, then that will supersede everything else. And yes, you may feel, I felt a certain way for a little bit, but it sort of dwindles a little bit, because you're doing it for a good deed. You're doing it, you know, um, with the thought of you're gonna be an even better person. You're gonna be in an even better position. Um, and we have to realize once we are our whole selves, who we know that we are and who we should be, then that's when we're gonna find the people that's actually for us. That's when we're gonna find the environments we actually need to be in. That's when everything, all of our moves that we make is going to be in line with who we should be, who we are, who we aim to be. So even though I had a moment of not doing so good with it and not understanding why I had to be by myself for a while, um I eventually got there, and I feel like most of us, and I'm going to speak just from me, with my experience, but I feel like I could also speak for a couple more, but I feel like we don't really, um sometimes we don't want to accept it. Sometimes we don't want it to be, the truth to be what the truth is. Sometimes we can know what we should do, what we need to do, and because we may be in a comfortable spot or a comfortable position, we just choose not to. And we think, oh well, it'll get better. We don't have to go through this, or we don't have to do this, but eventually it'll get better because I am who I am, or I know, and I don't feel like that's all the way the thing to do. But once again, I can't speak for anybody but myself. I know me. I've been gone away from where I lived for, mm, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years, 8, I don't know, something like that. But um I can say that I honestly feel like if I hadn't left, um I can't tell you what position I will be in. I can't tell you what type of person that I will be right now. I can't tell you what my mindset will be. I can't tell you, like, how my speech will be, or it's just the whole transformation that you will do. But once again, you have to be intentional about it, though. You have to actually want to um be better. You have to want to do better. You have to want better for yourself. That's why we named this whole month the self, the journey of self, because you have to want to do it for yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody's going to be on your coattail. Nobody's going to, unless they feel it within themselves to be that one to push you and to be there for you and all that, which we can expect. But there are a few people that choose to do it, and when you find those people, you need to cherish them and reciprocate. But um until you really learn what self is, you have to know you have to know yourself first before you do any of this. Like any of it, anything that we're talking about, you have to get to know yourself in and out. And sometimes that do mean isolation. And I feel like we lose ourselves because we're so consumed with everybody else's um things or positions and stuff, and so we forget about ourselves sometimes. But sometimes it's okay to fall back a little bit and get to know you, get to know your likes, get to know your dislikes, get to know your weaknesses, get to know your strong points, get to know what makes you smile, what angers you, what upsets you, what annoys you, what drives you, what motivates you. Get to know what your purpose is in this world, on this earth. Like, what is it that you're set out, that you're meant to do? Like, and sometimes we're afraid of that. We're afraid to sit with ourselves because of what it may present to us. But yes, it's a tough one, but I feel like it's needed. So, I mean, once again, I can't talk a lot more, but I'm gonna pass the mic though.
I think you both brought up very good points. So that you talked about basically having to, if necessary, like isolate yourself to dive into who you are, being true to who you are, giving yourself those honest feedbacks, so that you can find out authentically who you are. So once you've hit this point of finding who you are and starting this healing journey, and whether that be at the beginning, middle, pretty far into it, can't say the end because it's a lifelong thing, but um, it brings up the question: do you find it difficult to be around other people or family who are hurting and don't want to heal? And I'll answer first: yes. Yes, it is hard. And it's like you wish and you want for them to want to do better and to want to be better. But you wishing that for them is not enough. They have to want it for themselves and they have to do the work. And I think it also causes friction because you have set these new boundaries, because you know who you are, and what you will and won't allow for your life. Um, and a lot of times people don't want to respect those. So I feel like it also puts you in a weird position on that healing journey, and you just have to lean back on that importance of knowing who you are. And yeah, knowing who you are, so then they can't waver like who you are. They can't tell you all you're these negative things because you're not accepting their behavior. Um, but as long as you know who you are and how you're moving, and you are constantly assessing that and making sure your intentions are pure and you're coming from a heartfelt place, um, then you can be confident in that and know that the problem is not yours to carry, but it's theirs. So, what do you guys think? Do you? Oh, go ahead, Pink Spark.
No, it's like you bringing up good points, especially tomorrow being Thanksgiving, you being around family, and friends like that, and it's like I think the best way you can try to promote or encourage other people to start their healing journey is to just stick to your healing journey. I think sometimes people like to test you just to see, have you really changed? can I push some triggers or some buttons that will make you revert back to your old self, even if it's for a second. I think a lot of people don't try to give people grace when they're on their journey, because it's like, oh, if you messed up or if you spazzed out for a moment, then you didn't really change. And in a sense, it's like, okay, now that's a way for you to self-reflect, like, okay, maybe I got a little more work to do, but it doesn't mean that you're not on that journey. And it can be extremely hurtful to be around other people who, again, like you said, you want better for them, but they don't want better for themselves. They're kind of stuck in their ways, and then you kind of get pointed out, or you got a target on your back because you do want something different. No matter if y'all grew up in the same household, y'all were raised the same way, same family, all that. It's like you get a target on your back because, in a sense, I guess they probably feel like you're abandoning or don't like who you were or what you came from. And there could be parts that you did like, but then you also realize there are other parts that weren't necessarily healthy. Then if you bring in parenthood, or just even for little kids that's coming up in the next generation, you don't want them to go through what you went through. But a lot of people feel like they don't have the power to change that. They just feel like, oh, it is what it is. It happened to me, so it happened to them. And it's like, I dealt with that a lot, because a lot of stuff I feel like has to stop with me. And I used to get tired of it and ask why. But I said, now I was like, why not me? Because, it happened to them, but it ain't going to happen on my watch. And I'm definitely not going to pass that down to other kids or the next generation, because I don't want to put in the work, even if nobody else is doing it. So it's like learning to walk in that journey by yourself, and be willing to, even if the ones you're trying to do it for or lead an example for don't like it or accept it.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a minute for us to get it. Because we also have to just think about, I think I spoke about this, or we spoke about it last week also, about um the amount of time that it takes us. We have to still extend that same grace and that same open time limit for other people too. We have to realize that everybody is not in the same space. Everybody's not at the same at the start of their race, at the same in the same position. So what may look like, almost uh done for one person, or um a readiness to get going for one person, may not be the same thing that someone else is thinking about. And I think one of the biggest and hardest things is, you were touching on the pink, that I feel like people don't accept minor change, you know, which sometimes when you're dealing with like a lot of stuff, or especially like deep stuff, um sometimes it takes you making those small strides, those small steps, to get to the bigger, the bigger, greater outcome. And um people, I feel like we as humans, we always resort to negativity first. We always resort to judgment first. And I feel like that can wreak havoc on someone who's, especially if they're in their beginning stages of healing, that may not go so well with that person if all they're hearing is negativity, or all they're hearing is, well, you did this, and well, you still doing, or you haven't done, or I nobody wants to hear that. Like, as long as what you're striving to do, what you're trying to do, what goals you have set out to get this done. It may not be I okay, I'll start this tomorrow type thing, or this is gonna happen. As long as you're intentional with it, as long as you're doing things that's getting you to the point where you need to be and where you want to be, then that should suffice. I mean, And I feel like the judgmental part, we are so big on wanting to see other people how we see them and from our viewpoint, from our eyes. We feel like we know better for them than they know for themselves, and that's not true or right either. It's, if we could only give ourselves that information, if we could only listen to ourselves when we're, can we pass judgment on ourselves? Can we give that whatever we choose to do to somebody else, whatever judgment we choose to put out there to somebody else, whatever negativity or anything that we choose to say out loud or say to the next person, do we dare say it to ourselves? Do we dare treat ourselves like how we would treat somebody else when somebody else is not doing something that's not favorable in our eyes? We won't initially. Not if you're really not in tune. You won't. It's always going to be you pointing the finger. And I say you, but I'm including myself. We're always going to be pointing the finger at somebody else. We're always going to feel like we know more than the next person. We always going to feel like we can solve somebody else's problems, or give somebody else something, and once they don't follow whatever it is that you're saying or doing whatever it is that you're doing, or that you said to do, then up now they're just a failure because they didn't listen. I know, but how do you know though? How would you know? You supposed to be on their journey with them. You know that for sure. You know exactly where they're going. You know what they have that they're working on or that they're having issues with or problems with? You know what it you know everything you need to know about them that makes you feel secure enough to be adamant enough to say, well, if I said this to you, you should listen because I know. You don't, you may know about you maybe, but you can't say you know about me. Hell, I barely know about me. You can't know more about me than me. I'm sorry. I don't feel that way. Maybe y'all do. I don't. In my opinion, I don't feel like somebody know me better than me. Just being who I am in my position right now, I don't feel that at all. So yes, it's hard. Long story short, it's hard to be around people, especially when they are not in their ready state. Um because you have to be in a position to be ready and willing to just accept, or um be ready to walk away from whoever that may be. If it's negativity, it's negativity. It shouldn't matter where it's coming from or who it's coming from. And if it's somebody that's supposed to be in your corner and they're giving you that, then they're not supposed to be in your corner, obviously. So that should make it that should make it more than enough for you to be like, okay, I need to walk away because I can't take it. So I don't know. Yeah, I just know it is hard to hear that constantly, to hear just negative things or condescending messages and sayings and stuff to somebody that's actually truly trying their hardest, and their hardest may not meet your hardest, but they're trying their hardest to change, and all they hear is just, you're not changing, you're not doing anything. Yeah, that's horrible. So
So, would you say that changing the way you think plays a huge part in the healing journey? I would say yes. I feel like if you handle situations the same way you've always handled them, you're not going to get any results. You're not changing your approach, so your solution isn't going to change. Um, so you have to, yeah, you have to alter your thinking patterns, and like you were saying, Purple Spark, your how you feel like you see people and they're like how you want to see them You have to change that and allow space for who they actually are to be seen. um yeah, you can't, um you can't, it's like keeping them in a box. And we say all the time, don't put me in a box, don't hold me to be the same person I was back then, because I'm not the same. But yet if we stay in that mindset when we deal with people of, oh, they're always like this, or this is how they move, or this is what they do, then you're not allowing space for the changed person to do anything different. But you're also keeping your thought process in a box, of an unhealthy pattern, because you're not able to see things from a different perspective. You're not able to, see like, okay, maybe this is actually what they meant, although this is how I took it or how I received it, and being able to self evaluate. So I would definitely say that changing the way you think plays a huge part in your healing journey. What do you guys think?
I second that completely. I don't think you can successfully heal or change with the same mindset or with a negative mindset. Especially if you realize, when in your self-reflection, that most of your thoughts are negative, or you go straight to the worst situation or worst scenario. And personally, I used to do that as a survival mechanism, but I realized, like, if you're in survival mode all the time, it doesn't leave room for you to be able to really grow, because things are going to happen. You're continuing to live, life is happening, and it's like you can't always be in survival mode. Like, there's a time and a season for that, and realizing like you're not in that place anymore. So when it comes to realizing that, then that's when it comes to that change behavior. Or even like thoughts, because when you change your thoughts, your behavior tends to change or should change. So definitely changing the way you think and opening yourself up to other perspectives, and letting it play out in that way plays a huge part. But also, don't be in your head too much. Being in your head too much can cause, I think, a stumbling block, or keep you from making those next steps. If you think it all the way through, based, or what we call like make up scenarios. I do that a lot. I have scenarios for everything, but what I realized, like, it could be that one thing you didn't think of that happens. And so it's like, don't be in your head too much. It'll keep you from actually stepping out or putting things into action. Sometimes you just have to do and trust the process.
That's true. I do it a lot. I overthink. I think I do that with everything. And I think I've done it way more previously than I actually do now. So now I am trying to learn how to just let things be, um and just take things for what face value sometimes, even though I feel like it's just really hard for me to do. But each thing I try to change that. Each instance, I try to be different. I try not to go to my whole collection of what ifs, or my 5,000,001 scenarios of one thing. And like you said, it could be that one thing that you forgot or that you didn't mention that could be what it actually is, and you're just so consumed with everything else that you have going on in your head that you don't even realize or recognize it. So I can say, for me, yes, changing your thinking is definitely a goal, a need, a necessity. And like I said previously, you have to actually want to do it. You can't think like, you know what, well, I mean, I know I need to change, and but you're also probably trying to self sabotage yourself, like, well, I know I need to, but maybe you're a procrastinator. Okay, you don't want to at that moment, but you know you have to do certain things to get, to the next step. So you just, in your head, you're saying everything that you need to do, but outside of yourself, like, you're doing all the things that you shouldn't. You're not listening to yourself. You're not think you're it's not you're not in sync with yourself, basically. And that can happen. So once again, the surroundings, your community, I feel like it has to be coming from a um positive background, because everything around you need to be in sync with where you're going. It needs to be in sync with who you're trying to be, with what you're trying to do, what you're trying to get out of life. If you're someone who um don't do well with um negative talk, or bad judgment, like we are just talking about, then those people that you see with those qualities and that actually does that, you need to step away from. You just need to step away, and it could go as far as you maybe having to talk with them, and just letting them know where you coming from, and being honest about it. You have a right to want to heal yourself. You have a right to want to be better, want to be a better you. You have a right to do what you feel like you need to do for the betterment of you. And I feel like who the ones that care and actually understand, they will understand. The ones that don't, they will give you all the backlash. They will give you all the negative, the say, and all that. And those are the ones you need to put some distance in between. Not necessarily, because they it just may be that they're just not there yet. But in due time, you will figure that out, whether you could keep them at a far distance or you just have to let them go. Because yes, it is people that actually do not want help, do not want to get better, do not want to be them best selves, do not want to have anything to do with any type of positive thing out there. And you will find that out. All you gotta do is let people be how they are, let people do what they do, and you will see exactly who they are. um so um yeah, I think community should be a big thing for everybody. And we shouldn't just box that in a particular, like a particular set of people or things or places or whatever. I feel like we need to be open-minded when it comes to that. Because we just don't know where that where that help or that nudge is going to come from, or how it's going to get to you. So you do have to be open and intentional about what it is that you want, because they say be careful what you ask for. If you're asking for healing, you're asking for forgiveness, you're asking for trust, truth, respect, you're asking for just whatever it is that you're asking for, you got to ask yourself, are you prepared for what it is that you're asking for? Because sometimes we don't be. Sometimes we just want something so bad because we don't have it. We're just praying to get it. We're just hoping to get it. We're just putting it out there because we just fiending for it. But when are you going to get yourself ready to receive what it is that you're asking for? Because you could miss out on something really good just by you not being who you need to be, or in the space that you need to be in to receive what you're asking for. So, intentionality.
It's very, very important. So this brings up, and I think we touched on it just a teensy bit, but can you be a stumbling block for someone else's self-love journey or self-healing journey? And I would say definitely. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is not allowing that same space for others, that you allow for yourself, or that others have allowed for you to be able to be on that self-healing journey, and to not hold you to be that person who you used to be. um I think, yes, absolutely, you can make it that much harder for them, if they're trying to get out of their head and their own thinking, and they come to you to have a conversation, and you're not willing to do that. um I feel like that can be a hindrance to that journey, if you're trying to just make it that much harder for them, and unable to be open-minded, unopen to be adults, unable to um just allow that space and that grace, and the possibility that they could be different, that they can change, that they're trying. It could be really damaging if someone is thinking like, say there's levels, like normally they're on a level 10, when you approach them or have a situation with them, and how they handle it is a in a bad way on a 10, and then the next time you have a situation, they've come down to a 7, but you still hold them at that 10. Not being able to see the progress and acknowledge it, and allow that space for them to be better. They're not going to be perfect. It's going to take time. They're going to have to work on it. But for you to be a safe place, and a essentially a place of learning, you can let them know, hey, I appreciate, you trying to go about it right way. I can see where you did that different, but this still rubbed me the wrong way because of this. Or, being able to have that conversation, and they can take heed and note and apply it however they see fit. We don't have control over that, but being able to not crash them down, or make them feel bad, and like, you can't ever change, and you're always going to be that, so why even bother, um is what comes to mind for me. But what do you guys think? Can we be stumbling blocks for someone else's journey?
I think so. I know there's those ones that some people might do it intentionally, like they intentionally like are looking to sabotage or try to bring it down or make it that much harder because misery left company. Um,
Mm.
but I tend to lately I've been focusing on the ones that's like not intentional, like you don't really know that you're doing it until it's already done, or you self reflect. So it can just be like like you said, like not being or willing to be just like a listening ear. Um, or it's like not like pacifying people's behavior. I think that's what a lot of people do, and they don't realize like they probably play a role in that. Especially if that's your family or someone that they feel safe with you, and they take heed to anything you say or have to say, and of course say from a loving place, not to put them down or anything, but also don't pacify their behavior when it comes to certain situations. Because I know there are families, and even mine is like that, to where like publicly and privately, this person can do no wrong. But then you complain about the same situation they keep putting themselves in. And it's like they hold your word to a certain standard. So why aren't you speaking up? Why aren't you saying something? Why aren't you probably even possibly leading by example, even if you weren't there in that journey yet? So it's like, looking at those little ways that how you can probably be a stumbling block and not even know it. Um, and it can also be how you speak, like making sure you're speaking positive and not negative all the time. um and then also too, like I know it kind of comes into that next question of like, is there a wrong way to self-heal? There's a lot of that going around, and a lot of people don't really get it. Like when people self-heal or self-soothe with like drugs and alcohol to numb them from actually getting to the deeper root of their pain. And I think if you encourage that, knowing that someone's hurting, and it's only like making them spiral or go into a deeper depression or go in the opposite direction, I think that's another way that you can be a stumbling block in someone's journey. Especially if you heard them say like they were wanting to start that journey, or it looked like they were starting it, yet you're helping them in things that aren't going to help them. It's going to hinder them.
That's true. And yeah, just like once again, we've all stated, um, we may think we're doing, something good. We may think we're saying, all the right things. We may think that we are one of the best examples that someone could have and all that, but until you actually know what the next person actually needs, or what they're looking for, or what their journey even looks like, um, what their healing looks like, we don't know that. So what we feel like may be helping could actually be sabotaging. And like Orange Spark said, I feel like we as a society all need to have more conversations. I feel like we don't talk enough to each other. We don't communicate enough to with each other. Because I feel like back in the day, it was always, everything that went on in the house stayed in the house. You don't tell anybody nothing, like no matter what it was or anything. So I feel like as the generations kept going and going and going, I felt like they tried to keep that, they tried to keep that going. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm sleepy. But they tried to keep that going. And I feel like now it's starting to ease up to where people are starting to speak up a little bit more. Which, little progress is at least is progress, right? But the more and more that we have these talks, the more and more we openly, and that's not to say, you just spill your guts, you just spill everything there is, but just things that most people deal with, go through, emotions, feelings, uh habits, just different situations. I feel like everybody go through them just at different times. So, and I feel like if we just have simple conversations, sometimes we could get to, excuse me, we can get to like the root of some issues, or we can actually see what kind of help that we could lend. We could actually see what information that we can actually give the person that's not going to sabotage them, but that's going to, help them in a long run, or, help them with a little piece of their journey, if that, So I really do feel like we just need to start sparking more conversation. And I feel like that's why we even started this. Really, that's all it is. Honestly, I'm still on it. Orange Spark may be on it. Pink Spark may be on. I just feel like what we talk about, other people may have those same thoughts or sentiments, or maybe need to start somewhere and don't know, or m- may not feel comfortable enough to, and may need this little jump so that they can get started with what they're doing, on their journey. So that's truly, honestly, why we started this, and I couldn't be more happier, for real. The more people reach, the better I feel. The better I am. The more I feel enthused and happy about, and because people are hurting. People hurt, and they could be sitting right next to you and you don't know it, because we're lifing also. And sometimes life don't let you act out your your situation. It don't let you be vulnerable. It don't let you sit and soothe. It don't let you um fix yourself. So we have to patch that up, move on to the next thing. And and we be so consumed with so much stuff, so much that at some point you're gonna break. You can't. It's like a combustion, or I don't even know if I'm using the right word, but like it's you're just study feeling yourself with things, with stuff. You study feeling it until eventually you're gonna explode, and it may not be in a good way. So once again, just talking about it, just having a conversation, just sometimes, yeah, sometimes you may not need somebody that's gonna say things. You may not need somebody that's going to um give you feedback. Sometimes you just want that listening ear just because you need to get something out or release something. And that's okay. That should be okay. So that's my take.
So, our next question is there a wrong way to self heal? And Pink Spark touched on this a bit with substance abuse. Um, but yes, absolutely. And I think one of the important things is comes back to being honest with yourself. If you're not being honest with yourself, if you're not truly evaluating and seeing where you have your shortcomings, what are you healing from? There's nothing to heal from if you, oh no, yeah, you don't do that. No, you good. No, you have no problem. You have nothing to work on. Then you can't true if it's always someone else's problem, if you have no parts whatsoever in any situation, and this is what you tell yourself, then you're not being honest with yourself. You're not doing that searching. You're not acknowledging and taking accountability, and you won't be able to self heal. You may feel like, oh, I'm good because I didn't do this, but you're going to keep finding yourself in the same situations with the same results, and your life is going to move in the direction of your strongest thoughts. And they're not going to be good if you're constantly surrounded with negativity, obstacles, and friction from friends, family, work, um maybe children, whatever the case may be. So yeah, the wrong way would be to lie to yourself, to not be honest, and to not truly dive into self and see where you can improve. What do y'all think?
Definitely agree. I think with the substance abuse, I think that's just like if you're like someone and you're like to observe people, I think that's just like maybe an indication that someone's hurting, and like maybe even reach out or just talk to them. But I think those are like some early indications. I feel like anything that you put in the way or in the forefront to either numb yourself or distract yourself is a wrong way to heal. So it could be throwing yourself into work with no breaks, staying busy because you don't like to take a moment just to think. I did that a lot, and I did it purposely. At first, I didn't know I was doing it. Then I realized what I was doing and still did it. So that just shows you where I
Uh-huh.
was at in my journey of, I was like, I just got to stay busy because if I slow down, like, it's all going to come crashing down on me of like what I've been trying to avoid. Um, so yeah, definitely like not being honest with yourself is one. Like throwing whatever you do to try to feel numb. Sometimes I have like relapse or moments where I just feel like I just want to just be preoccupied mentally or physically so I don't have to think. Some people do it in relationships. They throw themselves in relationships, whether romantically, friendship, family, um, or helping others before you help yourself is definitely another one. If you're up and willing to help it's easier to help someone else versus yourself, because with someone else you can be like, oh, you just need to do this and I'll help you and I'll hold your hand and lead you around along the way. But it's different when you have to do it to yourself and rely on yourself to get it done versus doing that for someone else. Because I did that for a while. I was fixing or thought I was fixing everybody else, but I did it as a way to avoid what I was going through personally. And then when that stopped, I was still left with all the things that I did not handle. And I feel like sometimes there are certain things, if you delay it too long, it grows it. It makes it more complicated. Um, and so it even goes back to the other question, like I asked, like, is healing necessary? Because I know there might be some people who think like, what is the point of this? And of course, we talked about it, like what it looked like, what it can do, but like, what is the main benefit from it, or like, is it really necessary? And I always ask, like, or think like it most definitely is. um Especially if you have a desire or willingness to be your best self, you have to heal from things that you don't really want to rehash or rethink about, but also that's avoiding. You
Mhm.
can't really avoid. It's going to come up or show up in one way or another. It may even show up as triggers or as people or situations. And if you have all those things or walls built up, I feel like you leave yourself open to be tested, and not in a way that's supposed to be like, oh, if you're tested, it'll help you realize what you need to work on, but in a way that if people want to come and control you, they can, because you have all these walls, you have all these triggers, and they know that if they push this or do this, it'll set you off. So it's like, I feel like, especially a lot of people who like, you don't want to be played with, right? You don't want nobody controlling you. You got to heal so that you can be in have self control, and don't allow other people to feel like they can control you.
Mm.
All that's true. Another tell on myself moment. I when I was going through a divorce, that's exactly what I did. I self sabotaged myself. I would drink. Um, I don't know if I would smoke. I don't even remember, but I would deflect. I would do anything that I could just to not focus on the situation at hand because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't feel like it was my place to. Um, I mean, every morning, every night, I would go in the parking lot of my job and call in and go back home to drink more. Like it gets bad because you just want those feelings to go away. So you're right, Pink Spark, whatever you feel like you need to do, whatever you feel like that's going to take either the pain away or going to take the thoughts away that you have, or the feeling of, is this actually real? Is this actually happening? Wh- like right now, this is going on right now. This is happening now. um and I mean, it's only because, once again, some of the ones that was around me that was constantly like, they actually picked up on my behavior after a little bit. um and they noticed and started talking, and just, that's really all I needed. But it was bad. And then because at one point you start to realize, like, this is whack, this is horrible, the
And
problem is
temporary.
still there. Yes, right, temporarily, that's what I'm saying. The problem is actually still there, because once you come down from the high, once you come down from being inebriated or whatever you call it, it you still have to deal with whatever it is initially that you were supposed to deal with. So you're just really putting it off. So, and you're not hurting nobody but yourself. Um, so yes, it's real important to want to be able to get to a good space, want to be able to get to a level mindedness to where you don't have to do substances or anything to try and control or try and get you to a spot where just healthy healing can get you. Um I think most of the time we be afraid of the unknown, and because we don't know, sometimes we choose not to want to find out because we don't want to deal with whatever may come. Um, but life is unknown, and we're still doing that. So I feel like if we can live this thing called life every day, when we get into situations and we get into to different scenarios where we have to make tough decisions or be in bad spots or pick yourself back up, we have to remember we're fighting that fight right now, just in a different way. We can do it. Instead of using other things, just tap in, tap into yourself. Um, be with yourself. Be around, others that exude positivity and that and people that actually honestly want to see you be the best version of you possible, so that they can also help you. Sometimes it's not an actual physical help. Sometimes people just actually being there, being in the surroundings, knowing that they're there. Sometimes even not in the same space though, but just knowing that they're there, knowing that they have your best interest at heart helps a lot. So, but yes, the self-sabotage is real.
I know that all too well. All too well. I think I'm doing better though. I'm doing better. But yeah, I
It
was real bad.
is.
Big on. Thank you.
It
Thank you.
is.
I appreciate that because shoot, I was Tasmanian devil around here. But I've made a lot of progress. A lot of
You gotta
progress.
celebrate those progress. Like that's why I say
Ye-
when you see a moment when you're going through something, you realize that you handled it different than before, that you didn't spaz out, or even how you are mentally after. I
Yeah.
take my moments, I clap it up and say growth. Because little do
Period.
y'all know, I could have,
Okay.
I should have, but I did not.
Okay. The
Growth.
temptation was heavy.
Yep.
The will was there. The
Mm-hmm.
ability.
All that.
Yeah.
But I chose
Yeah. That's
different. That's control.
yes.
That is control.
Intentionality,
Yep.
maturity, control, all of that. All of that. Hard work is paying off.
Most definitely. It
Kudos.
shows up in those moments. Like you feel like you do the work and it's not really doing anything. Like you just like, ugh. But then when moments come, especially the ones that you feel like you're not strong enough in, and then you realize, dang, I actually did it.
Facts.
I did it.
Facts.
And then yes, it is though. Oh, I didn't spaz out. You did it. You know what I mean? Like it's those moments like that you really just gotta
Yes.
bask in it. You're like, wow.
Passing them tests.
I love telling people growth.
Okay.
'Cause it's there
Say nothing like growth, boy.
at all.
And the growth will change your mindset too. I feel like um because there's one thing to be intentional about it, but also like you're saying, like when you finally are on the other side of like you handled that situation different and you're like, "Oh, okay, growth." And it's like, okay, wait, I like this. That wasn't so bad. I can actually do this. And it still may be a bit uncomfortable because you really wish that you had got your lick back or let them know what was up. But once you get past that, it's like, okay, no, this is how it should be. You got to undo those patterns. It doesn't mean those thoughts won't be there. It won't mean that it's going to be just 100% comfortable yet. But eventually, you'll enjoy, that feeling so much of this is the right way to go about things. I'm very proud of that outcome and how I conducted myself that eventually it won't bother you because this is who you are. You're no longer running from the, oh, I could I could have put you in your place. I could have told you off. I could have made you feel less than an inch tall. But after that, like once you get comfortable, it'll be, hmm, I'm gonna pray for them. I hope they better.
That part.
They gonna get it one time. They gonna get better. I hope that
And
they, dive into their things. Like you hope positively for them
right. And
versus
then
all
you
the
do
shoulda,
it
coulda,
so
woulda.
much, you get to a point to where if you were to revert back, you feel disgusted afterwards. Like
Mm-hmm.
in your journey, because I've done that before where I just really went in and went to my old self, and I felt like crap afterwards. Like I did not want to feel like
Mm-hmm.
that. I didn't want to really do that, and I didn't feel good about it. Now, and plus, if you really want to get into it, it'd be like, now I got to go apologize to somebody I don't even want to
Mm.
apologize to. So it's like
Mm.
you might as well not even revert back, because then you're gonna have to owe an apology. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
put my pride aside. It's gonna take a little bit,
Right.
but I'm gonna do it. But I'm the type that, yeah, never again. I'm gonna move correctly
Right.
now, because I don't feel like I should be having to go back and apologize because I can't control my behavior or my emotions. And I honestly, I guess it's not in a bad sense, but and sometimes it makes me feel weak in a sense, because dang, I can't control my emotions. I can't
Mm.
control myself, even though I
Right.
know I can. And that's why I'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, round two. Um, Try me again and see if, and hopefully I'll do better.
Right. Yeah, because that test gonna keep coming until you pass it.
And will,
And it'll
and
still pop up
oof,
every now and then, pop quiz here and
it
there.
might, and
But
it changes people. That's where I'm in
oh
that
yeah.
season of, okay, it's, I passed the test with that person, but now let me switch it up. Let me change the person, or let me add in a little something, just a little different. And it's like,
Hmm.
it's the same test. I know it is. I know it
Mm.
is. And I'll be waiting
But
too.
I think that also shines light on the fact that this is a continuous journey, which we've mentioned
Mm-hmm.
before, but you have to constantly look at yourself. You have to constantly evaluate your intentions. You have to constantly evaluate, how did I handle that? How, like, was I my best self in that? What could I have done better? Um, to keep yourself on that track.
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, does anybody have any closing remarks before I do my little speech?
I just want for whoever sees this or whoever hear this, I just want, if there's at any point a time that you may need to just get something out, you may need to get a start on something and you feel like you can't do it, you may want to you may want to confront something that's bothering you, someone, and you don't know, you don't have any like anybody or anything that will help guide you to that point, to reach out to any one of us.
Yes, please.
I try to be open as much and available as much as I can. Even when I'm busy, I try to be available, because I really do mean that I really, really mean that people really need to start communicating and opening up. I really hope that we as a people can get to a place where we can feel that it's okay to heal, and whatever that heal means, tackle that. And whatever it looks like, however you choose to make it, just let it be. Just let it go. Let it run its course and do its thing. I promise you, you will feel better, um, each step of the way. And I feel like either one of us would be more than happy. And hopefully, I'm not speaking out of turn for anybody here, but I feel like each of us would not mind having a conversation, or just even being a listening ear.
Mhm.
We have an email, you can inbox us, or you can send messages to sisterly sparks at gmail.com. If you want to, just let off anything, you want to communicate about something, you just have a question, I don't care what it is. I honestly don't care what it is, because once again, we're all tackling something. And I feel like we'll work better and we'll heal better once we all get on each other's um positive side. I may not have even said that right, but if we could just be there, um and want to be there for one another, I feel like that'll be way better for everybody, opposed to just speaking negativity, or feeling like someone's just not gonna get to where they need to get to because of what journey it is that you have in your mind for them. I just feel like put our thoughts and our feelings aside and take on the next person's. So I'm 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 asking y'all to reach out if need be. Um and once again, I've said it previously, but be kind, be nice, be nice. It's okay. Say a positive word to the next person you come across, whoever it is. Say something nice. It could be a word, it could be a sentence, it could be a phrase, whatever it is. Just say something nice, and I bet you don't understand, but I bet you may make somebody day just from that. So just be nice, be thoughtful.
And with Thanksgiving tomorrow, please take that to heart if you're watching now or tonight. Um, I know holidays can be stressful, especially like around family and so many different emotions and personalities and things like that. But hold your tongue, bite your tongue, don't say it, don't do it. Um, and just realize like having a healing journey or a self love, self care journey, whatever journey that you're on, will be worth it in the end. And it's not easy, but it has a big reward at the end of it. And know that you're doing it for yourself and not for other people.
Absolutely. So, I want to say thank you all for tuning in to the self love uh, journey series that we've done. It has been a 4-week journey. In week 1, we talked about self value. In week 2, we talked about unconditional love. In week 3, we talked about self reflection and self accountability. And in week 4, we talked about self healing. It is our hope that you were able to gain some helpful tips and guidance um, in how to embark on this journey for yourself. I hope that our personal experiences are able to help you kind of guide and gauge your experience. As Purple Spark stated, we are available to be a listening ear or to help you in the process of beginning your progress in this journey or any other journey. Our email, you can email us at sisterlysparks@gmail.com, and we will be sure to respond to you. I hope that you would just, after listening to these, and just kind of go through the steps and kind of see where you are and challenge yourself to begin the self love journey and see what happens. The worst thing that can happen is that you simply make no progress, but you won't know until you do it. But um, the chances of you not making progress are very slim unless you're not being honest with yourself. Remember, this is key, as well as many other things. But most importantly, to start, just be honest with yourself, be gracious with yourself, and know that you can do it. And we talked about community being important, as well as that period of possible isolation or just being with yourself long enough to discover who you are, and know that you are worthy of self love, that you are worthy of other people's love as well, and that you can change. So, thank you again for tuning in to our self love journey. We hope that you have a happy Thanksgiving with your family and friends, that it's filled with love, and that you make good memories. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our Sisterly Sparks YouTube channel. You can add us on Facebook at Sisterly Sparks. And yeah, be sure and tune in, turn on your post notifications so that you can get notified when we go live. And we will see you in our next video where we spark conversation.
Wait, I'm sorry. Pink Spark, was there any closing remarks you have, or did you already say yours? I'm sorry. I'm out of it.
I said mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you had your.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, we will see you next week for our next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And stay tuned for the topic.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.